Hey guys, so today we're going to go over conservation buffers, which is kind of a broader term for things such as filter strips, gas filter strips, or riparian buffers. So all of those kind of fit under the category of conservation buffers. So conservation buffers are small areas or strips of land which filter out pollutants due to things like runoff, or like high wind issues that bring sediment up from the ground. Buffers remove 50% or more nutrients and pesticides. It can remove 60% or more pathogens and also 75% or more sediment. Um, Trapping pathogens and preventing pollutants also from windy areas is a big thing as well for buffers. Um, so buffers can include things such called windbreaks, alley cropping, and just basic vegetative barriers. So you'll notice the picture I have on the left at the bottom is an example of a windbreaker. So it just prevents sediment being picked up and carried by wind using those larger hedgerows there. Then alley cropping is the picture on the right. It's just in between, especially in orchard sort of farming techniques. They'll place small vegetative um, plants in between the alleys to prevent runoff um, as well. So it's a very economic way for farmers and producers to decrease pollution in their area. So I know a lot of areas will provide programs for funding for farmers to get their buffer system started as well, such as the Conservative Reserve Program and the Wildlife Incentives Program. And a lot of times, even local governments will offer funding for farmers and producers. So some of the pros of buffer systems include reducing noise and odor from urban um, populations or areas. Um, so a big thing for urban areas is that people who are living there tend to not so much like noises and odors that come from farms. So this kind of prevents that wildlife protection. So buffers create, especially in kind of urban areas, they'll create a kind of barrier that provides food and um, also shelter resources for local wildlife. Um, buffers can also lower the water temperature in streams, and this allows them to stabilize as well as um, forests and bushier um, vegetative buffers can allow for the distance for chemicals to travel to water to be further, which means that less of the chemical will reach water. Again, with that, it's improving soil quality. It's reducing flooding by stopping the water um, before it gets, to rivers and things like that. And again, it's protecting buildings and roads and livestock along with that. So some of the problems, there really aren't many as far as buffers go, but there are some issues as far as they can take time to build up forests. Obviously, trees take time to grow, so does most vegetation. So it can be an issue getting started, but once you have that foundation growing, it provides a really good system for conservation. Another issue, as I mentioned before, it can be a very economic decision for farmers to make. However, if they don't have certain funding programs, it can be difficult for them to get started. Buying seed, getting the land prepared for the buffer systems to actually get placed. But there aren't too many serious issues going on with buffers as far as getting them started. They're pretty easy. It's just planting larger vegetation and getting it to grow. So I just want to make a special mention of the riparian buffers. So these again are just basically vegetative buffers, and these are usually created with larger trees and larger brush. And this is the main priority of riparian buffers is to keep and maintain the quality of life and health of water streams and bodies of water. So these are generally going to be around urban development, so golf courses and urban centers. That's why when you go to golf courses or urban centers, you'll a lot of times see little like groupings of forest area. And it's all man-made. It's created as a buffer system. So basically, at the end of the day, a healthy riparian buffer is going to equal a healthy water system. These are some of the sources I used. Thank you guys. We appreciate you listening to this little cast about riparian and conservation buffers.